Audiology. Welcome, Dr. Sheila Pratt. Thank you for joining us to talk about Pitt Audiology today.
Thank you.
Briefly, what is audiology and what students may be interested in this field?
Audiology focuses on communication disorders related to hearing loss. It used to be primarily just the diagnosis of hearing loss and determining where the site of lesion was, but we're much broader than that. In that we also focus on treatment. So we're associated with fitting of devices and then also sensory and behavioral treatments and counseling. So we go from diagnosis into behavioral therapies. It's a clinical degree, clinical field, and we overlap with otolaryngologists who do the medical side of it.
What makes a student a good fit for Pitt's audiology program?
I think it's very similar to what Dr. Halou said. They have to be, because they're going to be clinicians, they really have to enjoy working with people and feel comfortable working with people. Now that said, I don't think they have to necessarily be, overly engaging, outgoing kinds of students. I think sometimes even the shy and more timid students figure out how to work within audiology, even though they're working with people. Our program is 4 years long. They have 3 years of academic work plus clinical training, and then they do a 4th-year externship. So they also have to be committed to the field and be willing to put in that time. So bright students, committed students, but students who really want to work with people and feel comfortable with people. I'd say that students who have difficulty in the program are not necessarily students that have difficulty with academic work. They tend to be students who have more difficulty in the clinic. And usually it has to do with interpersonal kinds of weaknesses or difficulties that they have.
So trying out the field with that introduction to audiology course as a first-year or sophomore student is probably a good idea.
Yeah, it's a very important. And that course definitely feeds into the audiology program.
So what experiences help a student stand out when applying to the program?
I think it's important for students to know what the field is. We have a lot of undergrads who may think that they're interested, but as some of the other faculty mentioned before, that if they can get an idea of what audiologists do by shadowing as much as they can, just to get and shadow in more than one place and more than one facility. So we work in schools, we work in hospitals, we work in clinics, and private practice. So as much as possible, if they can go see what audiologists actually do, they can get a better idea of what the field is, because it really is a commitment. A 4-year program is a commitment, and so they should know in advance what they're getting into and whether it fits for them.
So similar to speech language pathology, a bachelor's degree in communication science or something similar is going to help meet all the prerequisites for the program. If you have a different undergraduate degree, there is a post-bac option available to kind of get yourself up to speed and ready to apply to a program like this. That being said, do you encourage applicants from other undergraduate disciplines? Is there anyone you'd like to see more of coming into the field?
we've had a mixture of students from different backgrounds, and each of them contributes in a different way. And so we've had people from business, we've had people from engineering, some of the biology, some of the more harder bench sciences come in, and they bring something different to it, but it's always a good fit.
And do you guys require any shadowing hours?
Yeah, it's just the same as speech pathology, and like speech language pathology, it's been difficult the last few years. I think a lot of the different training programs, undergraduate training programs, have come up with different ways of exposing students. A lot of recorded observation hours, group observation hours, that sort of thing. And hopefully, once the pandemic resolves, students can go into more, face-to-face situations where they can observe.
They can get back into the clinic, right?
Yeah, they can get back into the clinic or schools or private practice. A lot of students who don't live in Pittsburgh will often go to private practices in their home areas or hometowns, and those are a little bit easier to get into.
So Dr. Halou had talked a little bit about like the pieces of the application that you're really taking a close look at. Is it the same for audiology? Are you really taking a look at those personal essays and the prompt questions? What is it that really makes a student competitive or stand out?
I have to say it's a little bit different from member to member on the review, the admissions committee. But I think in general, what we tend to like to see is that the students have done more than just take courses, that they've had leadership roles, that they've done community service, that they've volunteered in areas at least related to the field. And then just if they've worked in labs, that's a positive thing. If they've done any undergraduate research, I always look very highly at students who've done a post-bac, not a post-bac, I mean a BPhil, sorry. So if they've done an honors research project, that kind of, to me, shows a commitment to the scientific part of the field.
Now, outcomes. Your students are very successful at passing the licensing exam and becoming employed. Are there any particular specialties that they're moving into upon graduation?
It really varies a bit from year to year where the students end up tracking themselves. A lot of I have to say a lot of our students go into more medical settings, and I think that's because they become very familiar with that here, because that's where they start, and they have a lot of hours in the different UPMC and VA facilities. This year we've had a lot of students who decided to go to the VA. A very high number. We usually have one or two who go into the military after they're done and become military audiologists. We have a few that do private practice, schools, and clinics, lots of hospitals. So.
And finally, we're going to open it up to the advisors. Is there any questions for Dr. Pratt? All right, seeing none. Thank you so much for being with us today, Dr. Pratt. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.